After reading the book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, a few months ago, I was inspired to begin the process of decluttering our home. I am not a master declutterer or organizer. I did not declutter the entire house in 30 days. Even after completing the A to Z method of decluttering, I still have a ways to go. But I did ask Gemini AI how and what and where do I even start. It gave me some ideas, and I thought the A to Z method of decluttering would work for me. Gemini explains the A to Z method as a creative way to break down the overwhelming task of decluttering into small, manageable daily wins. You spend 26 days going through the alphabet one letter at a time, finding items to donate, sell, recycle, or toss. On each day's letter, I asked Gemini to give me a list of some ideas of the items or spaces in my home that started with that day's letter. So I started on the first day of the year with letter A. I love to watercolor, for fun, for family and friends. I am probably better at buying the watercolor supplies than I am at actually watercoloring. I had more than I was using or could ever use. I couldn't even get one drawer open, it was so full. Here's the thing, art supplies are supposed to be inspiring, but when everything is jammed into drawers, it becomes overwhelming. And when I feel overwhelmed, I don't paint. I spent a few hours going through all my supplies, and I let a lot go. I put order to the chaos of my art supplies by constantly reminding myself to only keep what actually inspired me. More importantly, I cleared the mental clutter that was keeping me from creating in the first place. I have one makeup case that I keep my everyday beauty supplies that I love, but the drawers were where everything else went to hide. The almost empty bottles, the things I didn't really like, the things my sensitive skin couldn't even use. It wasn't about getting rid of everything. It was about not keeping things out of guilt, or for the fantasy version of myself who apparently wears false lashes every day. Now, everything I reach for is something I actually enjoy using. It was time to take down the Christmas decorations, and I used this opportunity to declutter them. I started with 8 totes. 4 of the totes I didn't even unpack this past Christmas. I love Christmas and have a hard time letting decorations go. So to help me, I set a goal in my decluttering to go from 8 totes to 4. I used the "does this spark joy" question. Some things were easy yeses and some were hard no's. I donated what still had life left in it, let go of what didn't, and kept only what truly earned its spot. I didn't get down to 4 totes, but I got to 4.5, and for me, that was progress. It's amazing how much stuff you collect to take care of a dog, and Gracie the dog is no different. But finding it when we needed it was another matter. It seemed we were always looking for the leash or her allergy medicine. So we went room by room, gathering everything up, decluttering, and finding a home for everything dogs. Decluttering doesn't always just add space. It's about making your day run smoother instead of spending 5 minutes looking for the leash just to go on a walk. And Gracie and we are better for it. I have 3 wide, deep kitchen drawers, and somehow everything still felt lost in there. I realized I didn't just need to declutter, I needed these drawers to make sense. I added expandable bamboo trays and finally let go of things like steak knives that could barely cut butter and 8 extra spatulas. After all, this isn't a restaurant. These drawers used to stress me out. Now I open them and everything has its spot. It's a small change, but I feel it every single day. Anytime I see a frame that I like at a yard sale or thrift store, I grab it. I had 49 frames. I counted them. Different sizes, different styles. I keep them for when I want to watercolor something for a friend. But as I looked at what I had, I wanted to keep most of them. Would this even count as decluttering if I couldn't let anything go? I did end up donating 6 of them and threw a couple away that were beyond repair. But sometimes decluttering means letting things go, and sometimes it means giving ourselves permission to keep what we know we will use. Our guest closet held extra bedding and everything we didn't want to deal with yet. sentimental items, hobby supplies, a tote of family videos, old home decor I hadn't decided what to do with yet. 1 week into my A to Z challenge, this one felt overwhelming, but I stuck to the rule, 1 letter a day. I sorted it into categories and moved the home decor out to save for letter H. That's the beauty of the alphabet method. You don't have to fix everything, just today's letter. By the end, the closet was breathing again, and I was reminded progress doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it just makes tomorrow feel lighter. After pulling everything home decor out of the guest closet, I laid it all out so I could really see what I had. I made intentional decisions, what I truly loved, what still fits our home, and what could be better loved by someone else. Some pieces had meaning, like a quilt my mother-in-law made for me. Those stayed. The rest was donated or passed along. Decluttering doesn't always mean getting rid of everything. Sometimes it's about honoring what you treasure and releasing what no longer fits this season of life. And this is when I started noticing something. Decluttering wasn't dramatic. It was just quiet relief. For letter I, we tackled something unexpected. The inside of our cars. They quietly collect everything. Camping gear, day trip leftovers, dog hair, coffee cups, receipts, loose change, and all the I'll clean it later moments. Sometimes decluttering is simply about putting things back where they belong and restoring order to spaces that quietly carry us every day. Jeff had carried around boxes of journals for over 40 years, always meaning to organize them. We removed everything that wasn't actual journal entries and then sorted the rest by decade, year, month, and then date. 5 random totes and boxes became one organized box, a timeline of our lives. Maybe someday we'll do something bigger with it, but for now, the history is organized and preserved. The clutter is gone, and Jeff was excited to journal again. On letter K, we only got rid of a handful of actual clutter, but we cleared some clutter from our heads. Years of random keys from cars and homes that we lived in, and too much mental clutter trying to keep track of them. We gathered them all up, identified them, and tested what we could. Most of the time, Jeff or I recognized a key by its shape or color, but as I sorted and labeled them, I had a bigger realization. If something happened to us, our family wouldn't know what any of these keys belonged to. So I labeled everything. Now, every key is marked and in one place. No guessing, and no one has to carry all that information in their head anymore. We moved to the kitchen. Lower cabinets packed with skillets, pots, cookie sheets, crock pots, the Instapot, a bread machine, even an ice cream maker. Some we use all the time, some not so much. And honestly, some should have been gone years ago. Clutter isn't always about having too much, it's about holding on to things past their season. And that day, I decided life is too short for rusty pans and scratched up Teflon. Sometimes it takes a challenge like this to finally say, you were useful and now it's okay to let you go. The lower cabinets were lighter, cleaner, and so much easier to live with. I was a little embarrassed by day M. We basically had a small pharmacy spread across 3 drawers. Cold and flu meds, vitamins, prescriptions. I emptied everything out, pulled the expired and unused items to take to our local pharmacy for safe drop-off, and sorted the rest into clear categories using small bins. Now, everything is organized, safe, and finally under control. We moved back to the kitchen cabinets. For me, decluttering food always brings up guilt. We spent hard-earned money on it, and tossing it feels wasteful, even when it's been expired for years. We emptied everything out, threw away the expired items, and grouped what was left. Canned goods together, dry goods together, baking items together. Our goal wasn't a picture-perfect pantry, just one that works for how we actually cook and eat. Letting go of expired food isn't wasteful. It's honest. N is for non-perishable, but it's also for not holding on to guilt. So what I thought might be a hard letter to find something for, on O you can pretty much choose any item in your house and add old or outdated to it. But we definitely had some old spices in the spice cabinet, so we went with that. We cleared the cabinet and later realized because of me procrastinating about cleaning out my spices, Some of those jars were over 20 years past their expiration date. Some decluttering projects are short and sweet or spicy, but mostly it's about no longer postponing what you already know needs to happen, and it makes everyday life a little easier. We tackled the paper and plastic cabinet. That cabinet is the kind where you grab one thing and 3 other things fall out. That's usually a sign something doesn't belong, or too many things are living in the same space. Letter P wasn't about perfection. It was about removing the overcrowded frustration from an everyday cabinet and making it lighter, not harder, to use. My mom lives with us, and if you know her, you know she doesn't sit still for long. She sews, knits, crochets, but she's most famous for her beautiful quilts that she creates. She created baby quilts for all 13 of her grandkids and 18 of her great-grandkids. But every now and then, creative spaces like her crafting closet need a little decluttering and organization. We took everything out and sorted it by category: fabric, yarn, books, patterns, quilting and sewing supplies. Some things were donated, some tossed, and a lot was kept, just organized with intention. Her crafting closet looks much better, but more importantly, it works better for the hands that have created so much love and warmth in our family. When it comes to decluttering, the refrigerator never says, "Thanks, I'm done." It's more like, "See you again next week." We emptied everything, jars, containers, mystery leftovers, and pulled out the shelves and drawers for a deep clean. Then we sorted it all, drinks, dairy, veggies, and loaded it back up. While we were at it, we tackled the freezer too. Some spaces need decluttering once in a while. Others, like the fridge, need regular resets, and that's okay. Decluttering is about maintaining the spaces that support everyday life, even if we'll be back again soon. Jeff has been collecting baseball cards for nearly 60 years. Shoeboxes, binders, scattered stacks. They're not clutter, they just needed a proper place. We separated out the baseball cards and organized them by team. Each card was sorted, sleeved, and placed into 3-ring binders in alphabetical order. The most valuable cards were placed in protective cases and stored safely. These cards aren't just cardboard, they're memories. What once was scattered is now in one place and no longer feels like clutter. It feels like a collection. For letter T, we chose Tupperware and also added in our top kitchen cabinets. Between mismatched lids, old sour cream containers, and everyday dishes that had wandered out of place, this space needed a reset. We emptied everything out, tossed and recycled the dishes and cups that we didn't need. We lined the cabinets with fresh shelf paper and reloaded only what we actually use. I even treated myself to a new set of Tupperware. This was a quick and simple reset that makes me happy every time I open those cabinets. I wasn't looking forward to the cabinets under the kitchen sink. They're kinda dark, musty, dirty, and mice are known to like to hide out there. But with Jeff's help, we got it all cleaned out, washed, and reorganized. With the under-the-sink cabinets decluttered, we had officially completed decluttering all of the kitchen and laundry room cabinets, and that felt amazing. I opened a tote that's followed us for 30 years, filled with old CDs, videotapes, and camera discs. It was filled with our family history, and a lot of "I'll deal with this another day." I saved the photos from old discs, tossed what was already digitized, and sorted the tapes worth preserving. I packed up 25 tapes to send off for digitizing to iMemories. This wasn't just about clearing a tote. It was about making our memories usable again and easier for our kids to access someday. On letter W, I was weary. It had been a long week, a winter storm was rolling in that night, and I needed an easy win. I gathered up all of my wrapping paper supplies into one place. Gift bags, tissue paper, ribbon, party supplies, and I sorted it all. Some went to the trash, some to the donation box, and the Christmas items finally made their way back to the tote in the garage, where they belong. My wrapping station is not Pinterest perfect, but it's lighter, organized, and now I know exactly what I have. And as I was learning, when you know what you have and where it lives, your home works for you. not against you. On a snowy Saturday with nowhere to go, we cleared off our coffee table and gathered every extra charger, USB cord, AC adapter, earbuds, smart devices, and mystery wires hiding in drawers all over our house. We sorted, untangled, identified what actually belonged to something, rediscovered a long-lost drill charger, and finally decided what to keep, sell, donate, or trash. In the end, we were left with just a small, intentional tote of cords, real-life decluttering powered by a snow day, and the motivation that we almost had this A to Z challenge conquered. We had planned to declutter our yard tools for letter Y, but a winter storm changed those plans. With lots of snow on the ground and brutal wind chills, we decided to stay in the warm indoors. And we chose a suggestion from ChatGPT, yard sale worthy items. Jeff and I, and even my mom joined in, went around our spaces to find 10 things we no longer needed, used, or loved, but it had to be yard sale worthy. Everyone accomplished the mission, and we sorted the items into donate and sell piles. There would be no yard sale today, but the items were ready to go to our donation center for resale or put up on Marketplace. Decluttering doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to move you forward. For Z, Gemini AI gave us a small list of items that started with Z, but for once, we went rogue. Instead, we chose for Z, Ziggy, our name for all the Amazon smart home devices that we've collected over the years. This wasn't about getting rid of everything. We found a place for each smart device, a couple of cameras that we had never hooked up, and placed several smart plugs around the house to turn on lights and lamps. It was about regrouping, resetting, and deciding what actually deserves a place in our home. We made it through 26 letters, A to Z, but that doesn't mean my whole house is suddenly perfect. There are still closets, drawers, and under the bed spaces waiting their turn. And that's okay. This was never about becoming a minimalist. Stuff isn't the enemy, but when your whole cabinet falls out on you because you were just trying to reach a Ziploc bag, that's usually your cue. Decluttering for me isn't about TikTok perfection. It's about peace. It's about opening a cabinet, a closet, and feeling calm instead of overwhelmed. I have learned through this alphabet challenge, you don't need a perfect house. You just need a peaceful one.